Hi, this is Swapnil Bhartia and welcome to another episode of TFR Insight. And today we have with us Tina Nolte, VP of Product at Spectro Cloud. Tina, first of all, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
I see a lot of books back there. Have you read all of them?
Actually, the majority of them. Yeah. This is a hobby of mine. I love sci-fi and a decent amount of children's literature too. So.
You like sci-fi. Oh, then we have to talk after this interview because I am also heavily into science fiction and I'm also a science fiction writer. So let's talk after.
Oh, yeah, definitely. That sounds fun. All right.
Yeah, perfect. So let's talk about Spectro Cloud. Can you tell us a bit about what does the company do? What problem that you are trying to solve for the enterprise customers?
At a high level, Spectro Cloud brings the ease of use of managed services to enterprises' own flexible Kubernetes infrastructure stacks. And the idea is that's, to help people deploy at scale and no matter where they want to be. The idea was that enterprises with varying needs across our organization can best fit their Kubernetes infrastructures to their needs and increase developer velocity. Corporate IT can say yes to their internal stakeholders, but still keep everything manageable and safe.
So when we look at Kubernetes, what are some of the key, either the requirements, not requirement is not the right, what are some of the key, expectations that people have that, whether it should be flexible or whether it's like, all opinionated? Can you talk about that?
One of the things that we noticed, right, is if somebody's deploying Kubernetes, they've found value in terms of what it is that Kubernetes is able to bring to them for application deployment. The questions people wind up asking have to do with, what the balances between ease of use and control that they're able to bring to their stacks, and that's really the question that we wind up dialing into with Spectro Cloud. Well, as an enterprise, you've got a set of constraints because of technologies you've already deployed, because of operating models that you're comfortable with, policy that you need to be able to maintain, and so the thinking here was, let's make sure that we're able to provide a solution that is really easy to deploy, but gives you all the tools that you need as an enterprise, right? In order to, again, have high confidence that you've deployed, that you're able to manage and deploy your application safely, right?
And Kubernetes is not known for being very easy to use. And as you mentioned, it's easy to use at the same time, the constant of their, own infrastructure or their enterprise setup. So how do you help them maintain the balance between the two? Can you talk about the kind of, service or just, a bit of, what kind of services you offer so that while they remain, within their infrastructure constraint, they can also be flexible and use it easily?
What we do at Spectro Cloud, we offer a multi-tenant SaaS platform. And the idea is that we give enterprises control over their Kubernetes infrastructure stack. The unique angle is providing enterprises control over that infrastructure while maintaining simplicity and consistency at scale. So we do this with profile-based management of the Kubernetes infrastructure stack. So the stack components run from operating system to Kubernetes versions, storage, networking, and other optional layers. And then enterprises can customize what's in their infrastructure stack based on their individual needs. Each enterprise is unique. They should be able to use the components they need and not what somebody tells them they have to. Cluster lifecycle management then is done in the context of that entire infrastructure stack. So not just Kubernetes itself. And that means that the pain around maintaining the lifecycle of the various components of a Kubernetes deployment get outsourced to our SaaS. We also provide enterprises what you would think of as, sort of the standard table stakes, cloud-based management of, multiple clusters in different environments.
Can you talk a bit about, the Kubernetes, desired state maintenance model?
It's a part of what makes Kubernetes so powerful, right? It's a declarative model. You can express what you want to have happen, and then the system makes it so. Somebody taking advantage of the technology can trust Kubernetes to manage behind the scenes to maintain desired state. So we actually think that that's a really key piece of that technology, and we wanted to build on that at Spectro Cloud. So we actually took a look and asked ourselves, why not take that same concept and extend it to the entire Kubernetes infrastructure stack? right? And so now desired state maintenance would be done in the context of the entire stack, not just the clusters themselves. And that we looked at as a huge leg up on the ease of use side. We mentioned earlier, right? Kubernetes is not known for being the easiest thing for people to go ahead and manage. But if you extend this desired state maintenance declarative model concept across your entire stack, now admins can just manage, we call them cluster profiles, that should dictate what infrastructure stacks look like. And any clusters that they deploy from those profiles will maintain their state against those cluster profile definitions. It's all automatic. And that's consistent, it scales, and it's easy.
Can you talk about a few things, at Spectro Cloud that you have few ideas, few concepts that you have borrowed from, Kubernetes, like, for example, this desired state maintenance model, or there are other things?
I mean, I think that's the key one for us, right? I mean, Kubernetes is key to what it is that we have within our solutions. So, we help people deploy Kubernetes, like that's, and manage it. So we're big believers in the technology, period. But again, in terms of where we looked at Kubernetes itself and said, okay, what is it that we believe is really unique that we want to extend into our system? It's really this declarative desired state. It's such a powerful concept.
If you look at all these offerings that you were making there, at the same time, the Kubernetes space is very crowded. So what unique proposition, what unique value do you bring to the whole ecosystem, which also kind of at the same, while it makes you kind of help to differentiate, at the same time, you don't move so far away so that, people like, what are we talking about?
Well, as we were mentioning before, right? Fundamentally, if you look at Kubernetes, it's a transformative foundational tech. But enterprises are having to make a lot of trade-offs, right? And so here, what we do that's unique is we don't force the enterprise to choose between control and ease of use. So we believe in controlled flexibility. If an enterprise is going to deploy a foundational tech like Kubernetes, they should be able to dictate what environments, what infrastructure technologies, what versions of those technologies they're going to take advantage of, all while feeling confident that they have the appropriate safety harnesses and policies in place to be successful with those choices. So what I think about it is, with great power comes great responsibility, right? So, we can give you the power to manage your entire Kubernetes infrastructure stack, but we also take that burden of responsibility for management off your shoulders. So that's the uniqueness, is how do we let you have the best of both worlds there? Ease of use, control.
Now let's change the gear quickly. And I also want to talk about edge computing, because a lot of computing is moving towards the cloud. At the same time, because of either compliance, because of legacy, because, a lot of other reasons, you do want to make a lot of decisions at the edge itself without having to send to the cloud. So I have two full questions. Number one is that, how do you define edge computing?
Yeah, so this is so wide open. So it means different things to different people. I think that's why I asked you. Well, that's the headline answer, right? It's different things to different people. I mean, you have everything from the cloud edge to the data center edge to internet, wireless edge, device, then edge. If you think broadly about edge as being just part of this decentralization story, generally in compute, then even within the data center, look in specific data centers, you're seeing evolutions in the fabric architecture that you could think of as being part of an edge story. So it really depends. Where are you looking, and what the use cases and problems are that you're concerned with. But I think a lot of it, for me, when I hear edge, I map it broadly into a decentralization story.
Now, the second part of the question is that, what role is Kubernetes playing, in the edge computing space? And then where does, Spectro Cloud enter the picture?
Use cases, we were just talking about how edge can mean a lot of different things, right? So use cases look different at each of these places. However, for all of them, like you were talking about when you started asking the question, circumstances where data is generated or there's a lot of interactivity, there winds up being need for a robust computing layer. right? And something that we've seen pretty consistently is that Kubernetes is seen as a flexible enough abstraction that it becomes a good fit no matter what that underlying infrastructure is. Because it's known quantity, that means that developers are able to get higher velocity, you know how to develop against this. And you can take advantage of oftentimes heterogeneous resources, right, that exist at all those different horizons of edge. The real fun, this is where it ties to Spectro Cloud, the real fun here is going to be in watching the development of great tools and solutions, right, to help manage all these smaller clusters and these different horizons, right, and keeping everybody consistent and up to date and you know, and making it easy for people to be able to take an application and deploy it to wherever it makes sense, right, and be able to manage it. So there's some great projects out there in the open source to keep an eye on to help, you know, management of these smaller clusters, and Spectro Cloud you can expect is going to be moving into this area at some point in the future as well.
As you look at, you know, different use cases and, you know, edge, I think the answer is obvious, but do you think that microservices based architecture is always the right approach, you know, if you look at all this, you know, different kind of use cases?
Yeah, I like how you said that. I think the answer there is obvious. So it seems as though with any new technology, there's a period where people go overboard trying to embrace it, right? And at some point they find that they went way too far, and then the pendulum has to swing back. So we've certainly been seeing that with microservices in general, right? Several years ago, the conversation with literally everybody was, how do I take every application and decompose it into, you know, a gajillion microservices? The more the better. There are lots of reasons to pursue microservice-based architectures. Like loosely coupled components can help drive velocity, they help localize faults, but there's a dark side too. You can definitely have too many. And that's horrible as well. Like you have slow dev, you have arbitrary complexity, difficulty debugging problems, you know. We're in a healthier place now, I think. People are asked a lot more nuanced questions when they're talking about microservices. So which application should I be decomposing into a microservice-based architecture? How best should I tackle that? How far should I take it? What's the phased plan for going and accomplish it? So how do I make sure I'm able to support deployments of my applications with monitoring and mesh tools? And that last angle is one where, you know, we certainly have interest in helping people out. But yeah, I think we're in a much better place now where the answer is it depends. There's no one answer, right, for how many is right.
Tina, thank you so much for taking time out from your busy schedule and all the books that you're reading behind you. But I look forward to talk to you again. I mean, I was expecting to meet all these, you know, all of you at the KubeCon and all those events that were happening that have been postponed. But hopefully things will kind of, you know, settle down and we'll see each other. So once again, thank you for your time, and I look forward to seeing you in person at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for having me.